just want to show you a new piece of wood that came in. Piece of lumber is called Kosso, K-O-S-S-O. It's yet another African hardwood. And the reason I buy these pieces that have splits and cracks and stuff is these pieces that I'm making are only 2 inches by 4 inches. So yeah, it's great to have a perfect plank. But if I could find a plank at a good price that has really interesting colors and grains and will look amazing in these little shell preppers, I get it. And then I just work around, you know, the big gnarly crack area, and there's still plenty of material, you know, to make shell preppers. So this will be for filling orders. People have already placed pre-orders for shell preppers or grid boards. I've got the boards made. Now let's make some preppers. I'm going to run this through the planer and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards, so you don't have to listen to all that. Venus is checking out the sound of the rain on the roof. I hope she doesn't jump on the table saw right this minute. I'm not really ready for that action. We'll get that turned down. I don't need any chopped up cats. Alright, so check some of the stuff that comes out of the Kosso. God, it's so beautiful. And that's no finish, just fresh off the saw. I'm certainly willing to put up with some splits and cracks to get action like that. Man. Woo! We'll burn them out there. It ran through the saw a lot better than I was expecting, considering how dense it is. This stuff is very, very heavy. So that is super cool, huh? It's raining. Gee, I don't know if I want to go out. Maybe I want to come back in. Maybe I want to go out. Tell you what, if that cat eats any more cat food, she's not even going to fit through that door. After much dust and smoke and whatnot, I decided to resaw them in thickness on the bandsaw first so that I could get these wonderful strips of veneer. I've got a friend that's doing little things with exotic woods, making jewelry and boxes and stuff like that. You might find these interesting. These are the resawn strips. Okay, that's this side is a little smoother because I ran it through the sander. See, you can have a lot of variation, a lot of really interesting grain patterns and colors. I like that. Anywhere there's actual voids, you know, just fill those with super glue, sand them. I'm going to run it all through the planer first before I do that. That was really loud, so I saved you guys a lot of audio aggravation. We're just getting these things through the planer. And, wow. So this is probably the most select piece. This one and this one. Came out real nice with no cracks, no splits, nothing. This one's got one tiny little bit. This one's pretty solid. I've got basically these four are really not going to be any problem at all. You see, they came, you know, the lumber was incredibly warped. It was not just like a twist one way or the other. It didn't have any wane, but it had a lot of lumps and bumps. It had been run through a skip planer, you know, and it wasn't really surfaced. So now it is. It's been surfaced. So now this is definitely salvageable. I can stabilize all that with super glue and all, but I'm just going to wait and see if that's really necessary, you know, because I'm going to just make up the ones I need to get out the door with this stuff here. So I've got my router jig set up and template, however you want to look at it. It does move, so it might be a jig. And that's a template to guide my router bit. And then these are just about ready to go through the chop saw over here, which I've got set up to cut them to exactly 3 7/8 each. So just chop, 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 and make a bunch of matched pairs. And then I'll, you know, do you've seen my shell prepper making. What I really just wanted to look at was just the wood, because you don't really get to see this wood until it's run through the planer. And there's a couple areas which are just really outstanding. I even like the parts that have the knots and stuff. But this is some really, really interesting stuff. Just this piece here just has an intense number of colors in it. Something like this would make great pistol grips, in my opinion, if you could get to the good stuff where it's stable. It has nice tight grants, vertical, so it'll be stable. And you just see all this stuff coming out of it. These would also make excellent fighting sticks because they're incredibly hard. They do not look like they're prone to splitting or chipping, so from the way it's cutting. Really interesting looking pieces of wood. Get to see all these different things coming out of it. And if you're not really into wood, you probably stop watching by now. But if you are into wood, this is a different species called Kosso, K-O-S-S-O. And it took a lot of work to get to this point. Had to run them through the saw, the bandsaw. Had to sand them a little bit. Had to run them through the planer, chop saw to get them sectioned because they had a gentle curve to them after they came off the bandsaw. So chop them in the middle of the curve so I don't have to lose as much material. Then run them through the bandsaw to, straighten them out enough to get them through the planer because it was like, so much Kosso in here, I bet. I bet we got a little Kosso in there. Yeah, that's what Kosso looks like. Alright guys, we'll show you some completed shell preppers in a separate video, but that's it for this one. Thanks for hanging out while I mill some Kosso in the Mountain Storm Workshop.